Keystone Shortway, Main Street, USA. Yesterday's dream, today's reality. This beautiful highway is Pennsylvania's 313-mile length of Interstate 80, soon to reach from east to west across our nation. The earliest concept of the nationwide interstate system is credited to General Edward Martin in 1941 when he was trying to move military convoys over the existing roads. Later, General Martin was to become governor of Pennsylvania and a United States senator. But it wasn't until 1956, 15 years later, that the Federal Highway Act was passed, authorizing federal aid in the construction of 41,000 miles of interstate highways from coast to coast. By this time, Martin was head of the U.S. Senate Highway Committee. Charles E. Chick Noyes of Williamsport visualized the route of the Keystone Shortway as early as 1938, when he and other Chamber of Commerce directors were trying to find a faster way across Pennsylvania to reach the New York World's Fair, then in progress. With the Shortway completed, Chick Noyes says he's out of a job, but he certainly lost none of his enthusiasm for this tremendous accomplishment.
After spending some 40 years in Chamber of Commerce work, I learned three things: how to develop a program. First, to protect the interests of the community, to promote the same interests, and to do a certain amount of research. When I came to Williamsport in 1938 from Michigan, I knew that there was going to be a World's Fair in 39 and 40 in New York City. I knew that there would be a great deal of travel from the Midwest to the Atlantic seaboard to New York, and so I sought ways and means of finding a shortcut, or at least getting business through the central part of the state, through Williamsport and accompanying communities. I laid a ruler on a map and discovered finally that we would save the motorist about 75 miles in crossing the state over any other existing route in the state.
From the beginning, along with Chick Noyes, State Senator Z.H. Confair supported and worked for the Shortway cause. Today, he is president of the Keystone Shortway Association, while Chick Noyes is its executive director. Senator Confair's devotion to the project is evident in this statement made early in 1970.
Northern part of the state. In northern Pennsylvania, north central Pennsylvania, the people of that area have been observing a depression, a loss of population, and we all were trying to find some method how we could get the area to grow. Well, so we looked at the southern part of the state, and we had the Pennsylvania Turnpike and the Pennsylvania Railroad, and in that our area up there, we didn't have any transportation, and we knew the answer then was transportation. And so we looked at the Pittsburgh area and the New York area, and we decided then that we needed a road straight across Pennsylvania. So we looked at Chicago and New York, and there was a straight line right straight across the central part of Pennsylvania. And so then we endeavored to try to get a road through that area. And we went to Washington, and we came to Harrisburg, and we traveled all over. But in the meantime, we knew we needed an organization. And we had that time the Keystone Shortway Association, which was established in Williamsport at that time. And I fortunately was elected president at that time, which I am today. And we endeavored to bring the highway through that section. And as you know, we have it today. And I am very proud of this highway. And I know what it's going to do to the state of Pennsylvania, which is already has shown what it's going to do. And I'm telling you, then I see the new roads and the new buildings and the new industries going through that area. I do know that there's no doubt that we are going to have possibly the largest growth of any place in the United States.
Memorial Day, May 30th, 1958, was the day when former Governor George M. Leader broke ground at East Stroudsburg. Soon after, the Keystone Shortway was under construction.
The Keystone Shortway is a highway of many things. It means many things to people. And I think that highways and people are very much closely associated. And as we bring this ribbon of concrete across Pennsylvania, and we see it progress from the Ohio line into Mercer County and over to the Emlenton River Bridge, across into Clarion County, and we swing into Clearfield Center and over into these parts, we see one of the most beautiful highways that has ever been built. A credit to the people that have worked to bring it to this point.
Parts of the Shortway are carved out of the mountains and valleys and forests of the virgin countryside of north-central Pennsylvania. In places, it follows ancient Indian trails through the wilderness. Airmail flights of the early 30s followed this route between New York and Cleveland. Since much of the terrain had never before been touched by men or machines, the contractors were faced with many rugged problems. In an area near Snowshoe, a mountain had to be moved to make fill for a deep ravine too wide to be bridged. More than 10 million cubic yards of blasted rock and earth were moved to accomplish this. In another location, a shallow mine void had to be uncovered and filled before the highway could safely be built over it. Yard by yard, mile by mile, the ageless rock was overcome and hauled away to find another home as fill to carry the new highway over a ravine or gorge. Atwood Welker, construction engineer for Pennsylvania Highway District 3, discusses some of the facts and figures about what happens when actual paving operations get underway.
In the background is the paving train for one of the last sections of the Keystone Shortway. This portion is between White Deer and Loganton. On this job, we had two particular problems. One concerned a completion date, and the second, the ecology in the area. With the first problem, constant communications between the department and the contractor were required to ensure a completion date in the summer of 1970. On the ecology problem, since the highway traversed the White Deer Mountain watershed, it was required that precautions be taken to ensure that no siltation developed in the streams and that the environment of the area was enhanced by the highway. As you can see, the slopes were seeded as soon as the cuts were made.
Foot by foot, yard by yard, at what appears a snail's pace, 313 miles of concrete, 4 lanes wide, now reach from border to border in Pennsylvania. It has taken 12 years and $347 million to accomplish this massive task. But it was a task that badly needed to be done. Just as the railroads once brought growth and prosperity across the land, today the interstate highway system is doing the same for areas the railroads never reached. In many sections along the Keystone Shortway, even before the road was built, new businesses and new industry began to move in. Here, in previously undeveloped areas of Pennsylvania, was good land, natural resources, such as plentiful water, and people. People glad of an opportunity to join in the growth of their communities. In Clinton County, a survey was made by Penn State University before the highway was built to determine probable growth factors. It showed that a huge potential existed there in what had been a depressed area for many years. And it was the same all across the state, even in the larger cities where growth had ceased and stagnation set in. Enthusiasm for the new highway is shown in Clearfield, where you'll hear Bill Ulrich, newspaper publisher and member of the Keystone Shortway Association on the left, talking to Harris Brett, secretary of the Clearfield Chamber of Commerce.
Harris, you know, we carried a story in the paper the other day about another new industry which was coming to Clearfield. Don't you feel that that was inspired by the fact that the Shortway's here for us now?
Bill, there's no doubt about it. That industry was one of many that had been inspired to come to Clearfield by the Shortway. And of course, Clearfield was ready for them. But the fact remains that in the past 4 years, since the Shortway has become a real reality, Clearfield has had nearly $3 million worth of capital investment, about 8 different new capital enterprises, resulting in 1,100 new jobs and over $4 million in new annual payroll. Now, this has done another thing. This has raised retail business in this area, the Clearfield area, from 23 million in 1963 to over 38 million in 1968.
Well, another thing, Harris, is you know our unemployment ratio is way down, but I think we're going to have our cake and eat it too. I think in addition to industry, Harris, we're going to get a lot of people for recreation purposes. I think that person frying from the heat in New York City is going to get in a camper with Ma and the kids and be on his way to Clearfield in 4 hours on Route 80.
I think so too, Bill. And the marvelous thing about it, though, to consider another angle of the Shortway, is it's raised the morale of the people of Clearfield just up to the nth degree.
We won't be the poor relations of the whole rest of Pennsylvania, which makes me feel great.
I'm Ed Arnold, Executive Vice President of New Penn Motor Express. The reason that we have located here in Milton, Pennsylvania is because we feel this is a dynamic, growing area. The reason we feel so sure of ourselves is because of the fact that the industry in this area has a tremendous new market opening up to it. They can now serve the populous and industrial Northeast entirely. This is where we come into the picture. We can now provide service into this area faster, safer, more reliable, and more efficient. As an example of our attitude on this, we have now opened a New England operation. Through the use of Interstate 80, we can pick up freight today in Pennsylvania and deliver it tomorrow in Massachusetts. This service provides our customers that they get their merchandise faster, and our trucks are on the road less hours.
At Westinghouse Electric, William Burden, traffic manager for purchasing, discusses the effects of the Keystone Shortway on industry.
Interstate 80 is an important part of our operation. The requirements for materials on a prompt basis and our ability to service our customers depends on highways such as the Keystone Shortway and its continued expansion in our operation. Our ability to keep our inventories low and service our customers with accurate deliveries, quality materials, depends on good highways such as the Keystone Shortway. Transportation accounts for better than 15% of our product costs, so this is a matter of dollars and cents.
David L. Gable, sales and merchandising manager for J.C. Penney Company, tells why his firm chose Shenango Mall as the location of a fine new store.
My company, the J.C. Penney Company, saw fit to build a new store here in 1969, having built its first store here in 1920 and relocated in 1960. So 8 short years later, we built a new plant which is much larger than we normally build in a market of this area. And one primary reason was the advent of the Keystone Shortway. This modern highway system has facilitated delivery to our store and from our store immensely. We've increased our market from 130,000 to 160,000 with the advent of this Keystone Shortway. We have delivery into areas that we didn't even sell into before, and we also see much growth in the area due to this new modern highway system.
And so it is the entire length of the new Keystone Shortway. New business, new life is moving into north-central Pennsylvania. Oil companies and service stations, motels by the dozen, trucking stops, a big gypsum plant. Housing and community expansion is blossoming everywhere along the route. When you enter the Keystone Shortway from east or west, you'll soon reach Pennsylvania's hospitality and welcome station. It will pay you well to pause here for a moment and visit. There's much to see and experience as you cross the Keystone State. Some of it can be found by taking brief side trips to one side or the other from the Shortway. Here you'll be greeted courteously, and of course the literature and directions are free. Pennsylvania is a state known for the quaint names of some of its villages and towns. Soon after leaving the Welcome Station at Stroudsburg, you'll be passing Tannersville, Swiftwater, Reeders, and Aspenzell. Then, just a short trip to the north of the Shortway will be found beautiful Resica Falls. Another falls to be found nearby is the famous Winona Falls, which drops over 5 levels. Continuing the trip toward the crossroads junction with Interstate 81, the route to Wilkes-Barre, you'll pass Long Pine, Split Rock, Stoddardsville, Albert, Rita, and Zaner. Turning north on Interstate 81, you'll find Pocono Downs near Wilkes-Barre. For lovers of thoroughbred racing, this is the newest and finest racing facility in the East. Sports and recreation of all kinds abound in Pennsylvania. Camelback in the Poconos is just one of the many excellent skiing slopes that are being developed throughout the state. It can be seen from the Keystone Shortway. State parks dot the Commonwealth. Most of them offer fine swimming and boating facilities. As we near the halfway point, a side trip north to Sullivan County brings us to World's End State Park, where the rare but exciting sport of whitewater slalom is performed. Paddling a fragile kayak through roaring rapids might be considered as living a bit dangerously. Rolling through Clinton County, you'll be passing towns with names such as Rosecrans, Mackeyville, Salona, Cedar Springs, and Lamar. Here, if you travel north about 50 miles to Wellsboro in Tioga County, you can see one of the most spectacular views in the East. This is Pennsylvania's famous Grand Canyon. Leaving the Shortway at the Bellefonte Interchange, a short drive of a few miles to the south will bring you to University Park and the beautiful campus of Penn State University. This is the home of the Nittany Lions, one of the nation's top-ranked football powers. On westward toward Clearfield, you'll be passing near such towns as Snowshoe, Moshannon, Drain Lick, Drifting, and Cuylertown. A few miles north of Clearfield is one of the most beautiful of the state parks. This is Parker Dam, where Pennsylvanians and their visitors may enjoy swimming, boating, and fishing. Farther west is the mighty new Kenzua Dam, which has formed the largest artificial lake in the state. A former wilderness has been turned into a recreational wonderland. Passing through the western section of the Shortway, you'll go near Turkey City, Lisbon, Nectarine, and Partyville. Turning north at the junction of Interstate 79 and the Shortway, you can go to Erie and the freshwater ocean resort of Presque Isle. 7 miles of smooth, sandy beaches invite relaxation in the sun. Turning southward near the Ohio border, you can visit Pymatuning Lake, which is a huge game and wildlife reserve. Nearly every type of waterfowl known to the north passes here during migration. The lake itself swarms with fish, in places so plentiful that ducks have been seen walking on their backs. Much of the Keystone Shortway has been built through virgin countryside. Because of this, previously undeveloped areas have found a way to economic prosperity. Business and industry have found a new place to grow. Jobs now exist where work was scarce before. New vistas of beauty and recreation have been created. The Keystone Shortway is much more than just another section of transcontinental interstate highway system. It has contributed greatly to the economic expansion of our state and our nation. It is truly Main Street, USA.
Take me to the mountains, take me to the sea, take me where the wind's blowing wild. Show me a land in the clear morning light. Let me see with the eyes of a child. Build me a world full of peace, full of hope, where each man can walk proud and walk free. Build me a world that no frontier divides, with no walls to keep your love from me. Build me a world that no frontier divides, with no walls to keep your love from me. Why must we live all our days in the shade? Can't we walk in the warmth of the sun? Why must we fight? Tell me, why must we kill? Can't we learn from the wrongs we have done? Build me a world full of peace, full of hope, where each man can walk proud and walk free. Build me a world that no frontier divides, with no walls to keep your love from me. Build me a world that no frontier divides, with no walls to keep your love from me.